Hi, everyone. I hope you're having a great day today. Just before we get to the episode, I just wanted to start by letting you know that we're having kind of a wild and woolly weather morning, so you may actually hear wind and rain hitting the window. I can't really block the sound out, so you may hear some of that. Um, and then I also wanted to talk a little bit about positive thinking. Over Thanksgiving, I talked a little bit about one strategy I use, which is gratitude and looking for the blessings that I have instead of always looking at what I don't have. And I don't mean material things, at least for me. It's other things I don't have, such as like grandchildren and things like that, that kind of make me sad. So I try to count my blessings with the things I do have. Another strategy I want to talk about today is managing our self-talk. Self-talk is really the root of a really huge problem of why we end up spiraling and end up in depression and things. And it's really just kind of the messages we're sending ourselves. So I did a little bit of research on the health benefits of positive thinking. And this has actually been researched. And what researchers have found is that the mind-body connection is very real, and that what we think literally changes our chemistry, especially our brain chemistry, and that affects our body. So it is vital that we work on positive thinking. Some of the health benefits that it gives us is increased lifespan, lower depression rates, lower pain threshold, or actually a higher pain threshold, greater resistance to illness, better psychological health, better cardiovascular health, lower risk of cancer, lower risk of respiratory conditions, and better coping skills during times of stress. So times of stress will happen, right, to all of us. That's just life. We all encounter stress. So we need to work on our coping skills and our self-talk when those times happen. So a strategy for doing that, there's several, which I'm just going to address one today, that when things go wrong, when things go south, try not to personalize. Like, everything is not all about us. Life just happens. When something bad occurs, try not to automatically blame yourself. Or think about, this has to do with me, nothing goes right for me, kind of that Eeyore attitude. Life is life. So try not to personalize when bad things happen. Bad and good things happen to all of us every day. So we just need to learn to build up our coping skills. Try not to make it all about us. When I try to apply this to my own life, I think about sometimes when you have an interaction with another person and they seem kind of short with you, or maybe just not listening, or a little off with you, you automatically think, what have I done? Are they mad at me? And it's actually something going on in their lives. Actually has nothing at all to do with me. So one skill, I could have is, one, not personalize it. And two, maybe ask that person, how are you? So anyway, I hope that's helpful. And I hope you enjoy the episode today. It's really quite inspiring and kind of close to my heart as being the parent of someone with disabilities. So I hope you enjoy today's episode. Join us on this inspiring episode as we delve into the extraordinary life of Dick Hoyt, the heart and soul behind Team Hoyt, a father-son duo that defied all odds. Strap in for a roller coaster of emotions as we explore the incredible journey of love, determination, and triumph that propelled Dick and his son Rick to become an iconic symbol of unity and breaking barriers that, proving with unwavering dedication, anything is possible. Get ready for a story that will tug at your heartstrings and leave you motivated to overcome any obstacle in your own path. Welcome to Mindset Matters, the courage to continue, the podcast where we explore the extraordinary lives of ordinary individuals who have overcome immense challenges and emerged as beacons of inspiration. I'm your host, Lisa Sinclair, and today we embark on a remarkable journey into the life of one such person. This is episode 24, The Courage to Value a Person with a Disability, the Hero Heart of Dick Hoyt. The bond between a father and son holds the potential to make a lasting impression on both individuals. Yet only a few fathers or sons possess the capacity to imprint that same influence on a community often deprived of a voice. Born on June 1st, 1940, in Winchester, Massachusetts, Dick Hoyt hailed from a family where his father, Alfred, worked as a used car salesman and his mother, Anna, devoted herself to homemaking. Dick spent his formative years in the neighboring town of North Reading, where he served as the captain of the North Reading High School football team. Dick and Judy Hoyt, inseparable since their high school days, exchanged vows in 1960 during their early 20s. Within a year of their marriage, Judy discovered she was pregnant, sparking immense excitement about the imminent arrival of their son Rick. On the much-anticipated day of Rick's birth, following the customs of the time, Dick anxiously waited in a designated room for expectant fathers. It was there that the doctor approached him, delivering the somber news that both mother and child were encountering difficulties during the delivery. Rick's initial moments in the world were marked by a challenging twist of fate. Positioned incorrectly in the womb, medical intervention was necessary to reposition him for a typical delivery. Unfortunately, during this process, the umbilical cord became entangled around his neck, leading to a deprivation of oxygen to his brain and resulting in irreversible damage. As a consequence, Rick entered the world in a state of stillness, devoid of the typical cries and sounds associated with newborns. While he could breathe, the ability to voluntarily control his limbs and torso eluded him. In the poignant words of his father, quote, "Rick did not perform the typical actions of newborns," end quote. Several months into Rick's life, the Hoyt family sought the expertise of a specialist in Boston. The diagnosis was delivered with heart-wrenching precision. Rick was identified as a spastic quadriplegic with cerebral palsy. In a moment filled with tears and despair, the newly minted parents found themselves slumped, heads between their knees, as the specialist callously uttered the cruel advice, quote, "Your son is essentially a vegetable. Consider placing him in an institution and moving on," end quote. In Dick Hoyt's story called Devoted, the story of a father's love for his son, he writes, "When doctors left us alone after delivering the news, Judy and I had a good cry. Then we had a serious conversation. I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but this was my boy, my namesake. I loved him from the moment I saw him. I was determined to be the best father I could, regardless of whether he had a disability." End quote. The doctor failed to grasp the remarkable resilience within the Hoyt family and underestimated Rick's capabilities. While it was true that Rick would never gain control over his limbs or speech, his cognitive abilities defied the initial prognosis. Rick had the capacity to comprehend, learn, and think. As time unfolded, his parents discovered the depth of Rick's intelligence and vibrant personality. The initial indicators emerged through Rick's expressive eyes, revealing his unique ability to communicate despite his inability to speak. The Hoyts persisted in asserting that Rick's cognitive abilities were intact, a narrative they shared with a psychologist at Boston Children's Hospital. In stark contrast to the previous advice, this new doctor encouraged the parents with a different perspective. Quote, "Treat him like any other child," end quote. Embracing this guidance, Dick and Judy approached Rick's upbringing without limitations. As Rick transitioned from toddlerhood to early childhood, Dick engaged him in activities such as sledding, boating, swimming, and fishing. Simultaneously, Judy took on the role of kickstarting Rick's education, teaching him the alphabet and propelling his learning. As Rick could only convey his thoughts through smiles and subtle nods, the sole advocates for his intelligence were his parents. A significant turning point occurred when Rick reached the age of 12. Collaborating with engineers from Tufts University, the Hoyts embarked on creating a device to facilitate Rick's communication with the world, aptly named the Hope Machine. This innovative contraption was essentially a computer equipped with a cursor designed to highlight letters in the alphabet. With the headpiece attached, Rick could spell out words by tapping his head against it, providing a groundbreaking means for him to express himself. In a timeless tale recounted countless times, Rick's family engaged in discussions about what his inaugural spoken words would be. Predictions such as, "Hi, Mom," or "I love you, Dad," were popular contenders. However, as the machine produced its initial series of clicks, Rick's message came through distinctly: "Go Bruins!" This surprising choice reflected Rick's passion for sports, particularly his enthusiasm for the Boston Bruins, who were at the time competing in the Stanley Cup Finals. It became evident that among his many interests, Rick was an ardent sports fan. At the age of 13, Rick expressed his desire to participate in a charitable 5-mile race aimed at supporting a local lacrosse player who was recently paralyzed in an accident. Despite being an occasional runner, Dick, Rick's father, agreed to push his son in a basic chair with wheels. Despite the makeshift setup and lack of formal training, Team Hoyt successfully completed the race, crossing the finish line second to last, but triumphant nonetheless. As they completed the course, Rick raised his arms, radiating pure joy. "He had the biggest smile on his face you have ever seen," recounted his proud yet tired father. Later that night, Rick typed a poignant message, quote, "Dad, when I'm running with you, it feels like I'm not handicapped," end quote. Upon reading these words, Dick was overcome with emotion, shedding tears of both pride and gratitude. The charity race became a transformative juncture for both Dick and Rick. Intuitively, Dick recognized the potential to provide his son with an athletic experience that many took for granted. Much like the Hope Machine liberated Rick's mind, racing held the promise of freeing his body. To turn this vision to reality, Dick committed to rigorous training, running with an ever-improving set of racing chairs, each carrying a 100-pound bag of concrete. Meanwhile, Rick's focus was on completing his high school education and eventually pursuing college. Together, as Team Hoyt took shape, the father-son duo not only strengthened their athletic bond, but also forged a deeper connection that extended beyond the racetrack. Team Hoyt established a remarkable rhythm, participating in an average of 1 race per weekend, and at times even 2 or 3. While Dick contributed the physical prowess required for these competitions, it was Rick who served on the driving force of inspiration. Describing Rick's intense competitive spirit, Dick remarked, quote, "Rick had the real killer instinct, and if he saw someone he wanted to beat, he got so excited I worried about him. I told him to take it easy or he would tip over the chair," end quote. Despite concerns, Team Hoyt proved to be an unstoppable force. Their weekend rendezvous continued unfazed, persisting even after Rick graduated from Boston University. Over the span of 41 years, Team Hoyt left an indelible mark by participating in a staggering 1,130 races. which included 72 marathons and 257 triathlons. Beyond the evident physical challenges, Team Hoyt also faced social barriers. In a scenario that may seem incredulous today, back in 1980, organizers of the prestigious Boston Marathon, spanning 26.2 miles, implemented artificial obstacles to impede their participation. These race officials determined that the father and son duo needed to qualify based on the son's age of 20 rather than the father's age of 42. Consequently, despite the entry standard for a man of Dick's age being 3 hours and 10 minutes, Team Hoyt was required to meet the qualification for Rick's youthful age. This demanded sustaining an exceptionally swift pace of 2 hours and 50 minutes, 6.5 minutes per mile. It's important to note that Dick had to maintain this pace while pushing his 130-pound son. Nevertheless, even this barrier couldn't deter Team Hoyt. After a persistent effort spanning 4 years, they successfully qualified for the Boston Marathon in 1984. Certainly, Dick had evolved into an exceptional runner on the global stage. Despite numerous invitations to showcase his individual running prowess, his steadfast response endured through the years. Quote, "Rick and I have fun spending time together. When I push him in that chair, I give it my all. I'm unsure if I could maintain the same speed on my own. Moreover, I wouldn't know what to do with my arms." End quote. Consistent with his character, when a fellow competitor extended an invitation for Dick to participate in a triathlon, Dick's response was, quote, "Only if my son can do it with me," end quote. Given that a triathlon involves running, swimming, and bicycling, this proposition seemed unconventional. Nonetheless, Dick seriously contemplated the challenge. When he approached his son to gauge his interest, Rick typed, quote, "Dad, you don't know how to swim," end quote. Undeterred, Dick simply shrugged and replied, "I can learn, can't I?" And just like that, Team Hoyt set their sights on completing a triathlon. To facilitate their training, Dick purchased a retirement home right on Lake Hamilton. During his initial plunge into the lake, Dick humorously admitted he sank like a stone. Nevertheless, he persevered, progressing from a doggy paddle to a side stroke, eventually mastering the freestyle technique. This undertaking had no precedent, and Team Hoyt had to navigate the logistical challenges, emerging as true trailblazers in the realm of racing. For the swim phase, Dick ingeniously employed a bungee cord tied around his waist, pulling Rick in a specially designed boat. Transitioning to the bike phase, Rick would occupy a raised seat at the front of the bike. Maintaining their established system for the running phase, Dick would shoulder the physical effort during the transition phases, a period when most athletes experience exhaustion. He would be lifting Rick and carefully placing him in the next seat. Similar to their inaugural race many years before, Team Hoyt secured a next-to-last finish in their initial triathlon. Post-race, the now renowned athletes were invited to share a few words from the podium. Concluding his statement, Dick declared, quote, "We are now triathlon enthusiasts," end quote. Embracing this newfound passion, the enthusiasts participated in 6 additional triathlons before the conclusion of the summer in 1985. With each competition, they witnessed improvements in their times, underscoring their commitment to the sport. In 1988, Team Hoyt set their sights on the ultimate challenge, the Ironman World Championship in Kona, Hawaii, encompassing a 2.4-mile swim, 112 miles on the bike, and a full marathon run spanning 26.2 miles. Initially, their application faced rejection, with race officials expressing concerns about the potential danger of the ocean swim. However, when ABC Wide World of Sports committed to covering their story, the mounting pressure led to a change of decision. Despite this, the officials remained firm on the time requirements, stipulating specific limits for each phase and an overall time frame of 17 hours. A year later, the determined Hoyts met and exceeded these rigorous race requirements, crossing the finish line in an impressive 14 hours and 24 minutes and 4 seconds. Both members of Team Hoyt earned the esteemed title of Ironman and celebrated their victory with a champagne shower from Judy, the wife and mother, and Rick's 2 adult brothers. Undeterred by the challenges, the Hoyts would go on to compete in 6 additional Ironman World Championships. At the outset of their racing journey, the Hoyts were viewed as outliers. Many competitors maintained a distance, uncertain about interacting with a nonverbal quadriplegic. However, as time unfolded, the Hoyts transformed into a source of inspiration, achieving celebrity status within the racing community. Strangers in the crowd not only cheered them on, but also addressed them by name. Over the years, the Hoyts received an overwhelming influx of emails and letters, numbering in the hundreds of thousands. They found themselves invited to races across the globe, with most of their travel expenses covered, and on many occasions offered appearance fees. If you journey to Boston and explore the city, your tour guide will proudly point out the bronze statue honoring Team Hoyt, situated just a short distance from the starting line of the Boston Marathon. This statue serves as a symbol of the indomitable spirit exhibited by the team throughout their participation in 32 consecutive Boston Marathons. The tagline inscribed at the base of the statue encapsulates their ethos, quote, "Yes, you can," end quote. While the duo cherished their racing endeavors, Dick Hoyt, at the age of 73, decided to step back, recognizing the toll that triathlons and marathons took on his body. Consequently, their final race together was the Boston Marathon in 2014. Dick peacefully passed away in his sleep at the age of 80 years old in 2021, and Rick followed 2 years later in 2023, having reached the age of 61. Numerous accounts have chronicled the challenges and triumphs of this extraordinary father-son duo. A multitude of descriptors including determination, perseverance, inspirational, and teamwork have been applied to capture the essence of their journey. Nevertheless, the term most frequently employed to characterize this remarkable team is love. Above all, their narrative unfolds as a love story, an expression of a father's earnest desire to offer his son a semblance of normalcy. The author of their biography, titled "It's Only a Mountain," encapsulated it succinctly, writing, "It was a labor of love, a love between a man and his son, a man whose patience was only matched by his son's courage." Retired Major General Richard A. Platt said, quote, "Dick was a real trailblazer. When he and Rick first teamed up, nobody paid much attention to the challenges disabled people face. He and Rick changed that, not only by spotlighting those challenges, but by providing real inspiration and hope to a lot of people. We all benefited from his foresight and determination." End quote. Of all his roles, having known him for as long as I did, I think Dick would say father was his most important. Dick, along with Rick's late mother Judy, did yeoman's work to ensure the message of inclusion, and the "yes you can" attitude was delivered loud and clear to young people of all abilities. It's hard to believe they have both now passed, but their legacy will never die. Dick and Rick Hoyt have inspired millions around the world. We will always be grateful to Rick for his courage, determination, tenacity, and willingness to give of himself so that others too could believe in themselves and set goals and make a difference in this world. Please enjoy this audio clip of Dick Hoyt with his son having a short interview after their race.
Well, just a few weeks ago, the induction into the Hall of Fame happened over at the Ford Ironman World Championship in Kona, Hawaii, and the latest inductees were Mr. Rick Hoyt, over here, 46 years young, tickle, 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 scratch, scratch, scratch. And Dick Hoyt, unbelievable. I'm not going to ask you what age you are because I find that rather offensive. So, mate, it's good to see you guys again. But how was that? Firstly, let's talk about the Hall of Fame. I mean, what a great feeling for you guys.
Oh, it's just unbelievable. And, you know, we think back to when Rick asked me to run in that first race, and we never expected to be doing triathlons and doing Ironman triathlons. And now it's the ultimate in being inducted into the Ironman Triathlon Hall of Fame. It just doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, you guys have competed on many occasions over there in Kona. I remember you guys from a long way back, and I also remember you getting blown and Rick getting blown off the bikes and ended up in hospital and stuff. And, you know, this Ironman has, you know, not only put you guys on the map, but it's given you such a wonderful lifestyle that Rick pretty much wanted to get involved in the first place.
That's right. Yeah, it's all Rick's fault that we were inducted. I mean, you know, if he hadn't asked me to run in that first race, 27 years ago, we wouldn't be here today.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it all started out like years and years ago where he was the one that wanted to do that 5K. I think it was a 5K. Yeah, 5 miler all the way back then. So it's amazing how far that it's got you guys.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. You know, we never expected to be doing marathons and triathlons and traveling all over the world now. And now we're doing speaking engagements. And one thing we really enjoy, we're promoting triathlons and the Ironman and stuff like that. And there's more people throughout the world that are doing triathlons and Ironmans because of us and our story, because they look at them and they say, wow, if they can do it, we can do it. And they're out there doing it. And a lot of these big businesses now, the presidents and CEOs of companies who we speak to are now doing Ironman triathlon. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it really touches people's lives. You know, one of the most touching moments for me was Rick's speech a couple of weeks ago in Kona with his new computer. And it was hilarious because when Rick opened up his speech, he talked about, you know, somebody saying, you know, just leave him in an institution because he was going to be a vegetable. And then that's how he started up. But how he finished was hilarious because he then said, one of your last words, Rick, was, so what type of vegetable am I? And I had to laugh at that, and because you were just, you know, making these jokes and all that, and it was just absolutely fantastic. And I just found that one of the most moving things. And then the rain started coming down, and we all hung out and waited for this speech to end. But that was a great night, and the speech was just all from Rick and through the computer. That must be a neat way for you guys now to be able to communicate.
Yeah, it's really nice. Like, as disabled as Rick is, he says the most important thing is for him to be able to communicate with people, and it's really awesome. Yeah, it really does. And him being a vegetable, and that was really something else. When the doctor said, forget him, put him away, put him in an institution, he's going to be nothing but a vegetable. And here he is, you know, he's graduated from high school, he's graduated from college, he lives all by himself in his own apartment, and Rick and I have now competed in 982 athletic events. So we'll be doing our 1,000th event next year.
What's going to be the 1,000th event?
Well, it'll be probably our 27th Boston Marathon in April. We're going to have to cut back because we only have 7 more to go, you know, so we have to pick and choose.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure Dave McGilvray is going to be thrilled about that one down there at Boston.
Yeah, Dave's one of our best friends. Dave, he's an awesome guy. Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. We do a lot with Dave. If it wasn't for Dave McGilvray, we wouldn't be doing triathlons. He's the one that asked us to start doing them.
Yeah, Dave McGilvray was the man who was the race director in the second ever ITU World Championship down in Orlando, Florida in 1990. I remember that day very well. Well, for Rick and Dick Hoyt, I am Greg Welch for Ironman.com. And how excited were you were over there in Hawaii there, Rick? You were excited, weren't you, mate?
Yeah.
Woo-hoo! Just
was he excited?
Woo-hoo! Yeah, he was excited. This man's a legend in the sport of Ironman triathlon, and let's see him going around in the 1,000th race, probably on the 27th time these guys have competed in the Boston Marathon coming up in April of 2009. For the Hoyts, I am Mr. Welch, and we'll see you later.
If you would like to read about the Hoyt team, try the story Devoted, the story of a father's love for his son, written by Dick Hoyt in 2010. And another book that he wrote with Todd Sivan is called One Letter at a Time, and that was written in 2012. And for children, we have a book that was authored by a child. She was 8 years old at the time of the writing of her story, Coraline Weeks, wrote the story Just Figure Out a Way in 2020. And it wasn't exactly about Team Hoyt, but a very similar book about differences. It says Coraline has a younger brother named Rickson, and although she is still young, she has always noticed the way the world views her brother, and she was inspired to share with the world that you can always figure out a way, and that is what her book is about. So I really encourage you to look up that book, Just Figure Out a Way, by Coraline Weeks, an 8-year-old author. Our quote of the day is a short one from Dick Hoyt, but it speaks volumes. And it is very simply, yes, you can. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Mindset Matters, The Courage to Continue. I would like you to send in your hero heart stories from your corner of the world, anything uplifting that is happening just in everyday life in your local area. Please send it to mindsetmatterspodcast1@gmail.com. And I also would really love for you to visit the website at mindsetmatterspodcast1, that's the number 1.com, and there you'll find a blog that has pictures that go with each story. You'll have multiple opportunities to interact with the podcast, and if you would like, you can leave a voicemail that shares anything that would be positive and uplifting to listeners, or simply answer the prompt, what gives you hope? I hope you'll join us for our next episode, which will be about the carrier pigeon, Cher Ami. I hope to see you then.
Thank you for giving your time to listen to this episode of Mindset Matters, The Courage to Continue. You are of value. You are loved. You are not alone. If you are struggling with thoughts of suicide, help is available. Dial 988 24 hours a day for free confidential support. If you are not in crisis but need support, please feel free to reach out to me at the email mindsetmatterspodcast1@gmail.com. Again, that's all lowercase,